اتفاق الإطار في واشنطن.
The framework agreement in Washington is a humiliation, a disgrace, and a surrender of sovereignty. This agreement is non-existent, and the provisions of the Iranian-American memorandum of understanding must be implemented.
After the alleged Iranian drone attack on Bahrain, is Hezbollah now poised to blow up Trump's Lebanon push, turning a fragile framework into the next front in Iran's wider showdown? With Hezbollah flatly rejecting the new U.S. Israel-Lebanon deal, is Lebanon now drifting back toward another war, as the group brands the agreement illegitimate from day one? After the Bahrain strike, is Iran's axis of allies preparing to open a fresh front in Lebanon, using Hezbollah's rejection to challenge both Israel and Washington at once? Is this a major setback for Trump, as Hezbollah dismisses his hard-won framework as a surrender to Israel and vows it will never honor what was agreed in Washington? After alleged Iranian drone strikes on Bahrain, Hezbollah has openly rejected the new U.S. Israel-Lebanon framework, casting it as a direct threat to Lebanese sovereignty. On June 27, Hezbollah Secretary General Naim Qassem declared the U.S. Israel-Lebanon framework null and void, signaling the group will not recognize its terms on the ground. He called the deal humiliating and described it as a surrender of Lebanese sovereignty, accusing backers of bending to Israeli and American demands. Qassem went further, accusing Lebanon's own government of legitimizing Israeli occupation through the agreement, and warning that resistance forces will not accept it.
اتفاق الإطار في واشنطن.
The framework agreement in Washington is a humiliation, a disgrace, and a surrender of sovereignty. This agreement is non-existent, and the provisions of the Iranian-American memorandum of understanding must be implemented, linking the Israeli withdrawal to the disarming of the resistance throughout all of Lebanon is a very dangerous proposal that crosses all red lines.
Qassem insists that the U.S.-Iran memorandum, not the Washington framework, should guide any Lebanon settlement, effectively putting Tehran's deal above Trump's blueprint. He praised Iran's role in securing the Lebanon ceasefire as a gift of honor, framing Tehran, not Washington, as the true guarantor of calm on the border. Qassem warned that the new framework could turn Lebanon into an Israeli puppet state, if withdrawal is tied to dismantling what he calls the legitimate resistance. Notably, the framework allows Israel to keep troops inside a defined security zone during phased withdrawals, a clause Hezbollah sees as formalizing occupation. His statements landed just as Israel resumed bombardments in parts of Lebanon, underscoring how fragile the promised calm already is on the ground. On June 27, Israel confirmed a drone strike in southern Lebanon after the new agreement was announced, saying it had targeted a specific threat. The IDF said the strike targeted an individual who posed an immediate threat to its forces, framing it as a narrow defensive action rather than a broad escalation. The drone hit Nabati al-Faqqa, a location outside Israel's published security zone map, raising awkward questions about how tightly that boundary will really be observed. Interestingly, Hezbollah's rejection comes just as tensions across West Asia rise to a boiling point. Iran strikes U.S.-linked targets in Bahrain as fresh hostilities threaten to derail the fragile peace process. Bahrain accuses Iran of drone strike near the strategic U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters. Manama condemns attack as a blatant breach of its sovereignty and regional security. Bahrain vows to defend its territory as fears of a wider Gulf escalation grow. Tehran defends defensive response, saying it acted after recent U.S. military strikes on Iran. Iran says U.S. airstrikes violated the war-ending agreement reached just last week. U.S. struck Iranian missile, drone and radar sites only hours before Tehran's response. Pentagon said strikes retaliated for the drone attack on a cargo ship near the Strait of Hormuz. New tit-for-tat strikes to push the fragile U.S.-Iran ceasefire to the brink of collapse?
Mr. President, you said that Iran violated the ceasefire.
Yeah,
will they face any consequences?
Well, you'll find out.
Do you consider the ceasefire to still be in place?
I don't like the fact that they took a shot yesterday, actually 4, we knocked down 3, at a ship. Not an Allied ship, but a ship, a very expensive ship. And it was fine, but it took a little beating. They shouldn't be doing that, so you'll find out.
Will the U.S.
You'll find out.
Will the
exactly.
U.S. respond? What is your message to Iran?
Will I respond? You're going to find out.
The US-Iran ceasefire is now facing what could be its biggest test since the agreement was announced. Iran's IRGC claims it carried out retaliatory strikes against US military targets in the region. Tehran has accused Washington of violating the peace agreement, raising fresh concerns about the ceasefire's future. IRGC's statement read, and I quote, "According to Article 5 of the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, arrangements for controlling transit and movement in the Strait of Hormuz are under the responsibility of the Islamic Republic of Iran. However, the United States, by inciting various parties, sought to violate this commitment, and an appropriate response was given, and it will be the same going forward. In the event of a repeated act of aggression, our response will be broader than this." Unquote. An Iranian official has condemned the US attack, calling it a reckless violation of the ceasefire agreement. Ibrahim Azizi said, and I quote, "The US attacked Iran in the middle of negotiations once again. The failed US president has shown he has no commitment to the principles of negotiation or a ceasefire. This reckless violation of the ceasefire will, as always, lead to retreat and regret on their part. The blame game does not work anymore." Unquote. The strikes came after the US accused Iran of being responsible for an attack on a commercial vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. The US military says it targeted Iranian missile, drone, and radar sites during the operation. CENTCOM's statement read, and I quote, "US Central Command, CENTCOM, forces conducted strikes against Iran, June 26, as a powerful response to yesterday's attack on a commercial ship that was transiting the Strait of Hormuz. US aircraft struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations and coastal radar sites after Iran hit MV Ever Lovely on June 25 with a one-way attack drone. The Singapore-flagged cargo ship was exiting the Strait of Hormuz along the Omani coast at the time of Iran's attack. The unwarranted aggression against commercial shipping by Iranian forces clearly violated the ceasefire. Furthermore, Iran's dangerous behavior undermined freedom of navigation as commerce increasingly flows through the vital international trade corridor. CENTCOM forces continue to provide safe passage coordination and support to commercial vessels transiting the strait. The US military remains present and vigilant to ensure all aspects of the agreement with Iran are adhered to, obeyed, and in full force and effect." Unquote. Iran has rejected allegations of attacking the commercial vessel, calling them false flag operations. Meanwhile, President Trump's vice president issued a fresh warning, urging Iran not to risk further escalation. J.D. Vance said, and I quote, "Iran signed a ceasefire agreement. We have honored it. If they have disagreements about how the memorandum of understanding is being applied, they can pick up the phone, but violence will be met with violence." Unquote. The United States has urged Iran to resolve tensions through diplomacy rather than military action. As both sides trade accusations, the fragile ceasefire is coming under growing pressure. The big question now is whether the US-Iran peace deal is already beginning to unravel.